I think Scream definitely helped kick off, obviously, the slasher, the horror versions of these, but there was that impetus to with She's All That and with Never, like, to have that teen comedy kind of
Yeah,
thing
they
also
were. I
come
mean,
back.
they were making. I mean, they were definitely in demand because I mean, there were a ton of them coming out in '99. So there's obviously people were like, okay, this is
Yeah, into
gonna
it.
be popular. And when I didn't realize either, with there was a big theme in '99 with these things coming out, and they must have been like, hey, we have these tried and true stories. Let's do the modern take on them because I didn't realize this, but there was a lot of. The trend was taking these older stories and then modernizing them, like making them hit for the kids, like because She's All That was a play called Pygmalion, and it was turned into a movie with Audrey Hepburn called My Fair Lady, and this was like the modern
Right.
day teen version of that. Just like 10 Things I Hate About You was a Shakespeare play, Taming the Shrew.
To me, it would be like something like She's All That is like kind of the Can't Buy Me Love, the Patrick Dempsey movie from the 80s. Sort of
Yeah, well,
nerdy
right.
guy.
It was a very like we're gonna take a outsider and make them
Right.
cool or popular,
Make them
or like
cool.
in the case of the original play, it was like we're gonna
Right.
make this peasant English person like this posh, and we're gonna pass them off as an upper class kind of. So, but it just found it very interesting that they were doing these. And I was gonna say, Cruel Intentions was Dangerous Liaisons. They were taking this old source material and like putting a new spin
Yeah.
on it. Kind of like I guess with like Romeo and Juliet, the DiCaprio version, and the Baz Luhrmann in the '90s. Like they were like,
Sure.
okay, this had an audience. Like we're taking classic stories and like modernizing them. So
Maybe that Romeo and Juliet. Obviously, with Titanic in '97, there's
yeah,
that thing of, oh, kids are going to like the teen love story, the
yeah,
teen thing is
yeah,
coming back. We need to really capitalize on this.
right.
Maybe not
So this,
James Cameron size, but doing back to like,
yeah.
the Breakfast Club, doing, all that kind of stuff. We got to get back to that.
So you just saw Never Been Kissed. I guess you weren't. Wasn't was.
Well, I think I might have. I don't know if I would have liked it more or less or anything. There was like something about it where the second half I thought was a little bit funnier or something to that effect. I like Drew Barrymore a lot. I she's got the charm. I mean, to do this kind of
Yeah,
movie, she really holds it together. Because then, if it wasn't something like with her charm, with her style or that type of thing, I feel like it wouldn't have been. I would have probably disliked it or even hated it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or like
That
today's
is
world,
true.
like an Emma Stone would need to do something like that, or you know what I mean, or Anna Faris,
You'd
or
yeah,
whatever.
you'd only works with like an America's Sweetheart kind of
Right?
person in the role, and I just kind of remember it as being so sickly like sweet and saccharine and just like oh my god,
Yeah,
like
it was.
it just,
Oh yeah,
I mean it was just like it was so cute and it was like oh my god, it was like just like on overdrive. It's like okay, we need a little
yeah.
bit of like something, bring this down a little bit.
You saw it then, and it's very different seeing it now because every time I see something, I'm always like, what? Like the biggest thing was like she has a live feed, a little baby camera. We couldn't get those even 3-4 years ago, but they're live feeding a video from her brooch or something, her pin in
They
'99
have this
to
James
the
Bond
office.
technology back
Yeah, the
in the
technology is
90s. Like
wildly good for '99,
it's
and
like
then
who's who
everybody's so
what
invested in it. Everybody's
what
like,
newspaper is she working at? Like, look at the Lord. What
yeah.
kind of
I
budget do
mean,
they
I
have?
mean, with the Sun Times too, it was just like, do you really? Are they hurting that much that they need a story about kids in high school? There's nothing else going on in the world, and they were making it so
Yeah.
bombastic about how there's no story. Like John C. Riley, who of course we love, he'll be in one of the better movies of '99.
Mm.
But again, I look at it, I was just like, uh, is this all we got? Is this
Yeah.
the things
Well,
we need to talk
so
about?
so if you want to talk about an adult going undercover at a high school, I feel like a better movie and a more interesting premise was Just One of the Guys that came out in the '80s,
Oh
which
yeah,
was a
yeah.
girl who then became a
I only
guy.
remember
Like
one scene from that.
oh yeah, everybody remembers that scene from the. But no, but that was like a really. I mean, it was kind of like the teen, rom-com thing, but it was like,
Right.
it was actually like really interesting. Like, okay, this girl's trying to be a guy. She's got to learn all these things. You know, it's all very interesting, especially for the 80s with like the whole gender role thing. And
Right.
it was more, there was more interesting stuff going on, whereas Never Been Kissed was like, oh my God, it's just all about like, she just wants her, like, it just seems so like like,
You know, I got to go back to high school at 25. Like, how did that even happen? How did David Arquette get registered for, like, how does this work? How is legalese not?
It is. So this is, every time I think of that movie and I just go, oh my God, like, imagine if the role was reversed. Imagine if it was a man doing this, like going back in high school, pretending he was, you know, a teenager. And I always think of like, I went to a high school called named Paul VI in the 90s, and a few years after I went there, I don't know if you know this story, but some kid or some 20-some-year-old guy poses Steven Spielberg's nephew as like a 15-year-old kid and went to the school, faked all his transcripts, all this stuff, had like a letter from DreamWorks with, like, that was forged saying he was Spielberg's nephew or whatever, and then he went to this school for like over a year, like posing as a student, and he was like a 26-year-old
so
man.
He was able to.
So this stuff happens, and I was shocked that this never became like a national story, like on 2020 or Dateline or something.
Yeah,
and then like the truth came out. It was like a local story in Northern Virginia, and then kind of like a couple years later, like by 2002, it was like that was it. Like it was done. Nobody. Oh, and weirdly enough, this happened in '99. So it's like apropos for the whole thing we're doing. It was like this happened in 1999 at that school, but it was just crazy. It was like this imposter. But yeah, his name was Jonathan Taylor Spielberg, like Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, I was going to say
that was his.
And
that
Spielberg,
was his.
Like,
so,
you'd think like maybe try to find another name or another actual cousin, brother, or something with Spielberg, and brothers, sons, cousin, something. He went all in.
Somebody did some digging and got to Spielberg's like security, and like they knocked out. They were like, Steven Spielberg doesn't have any nephews, so this this is total bullshit. So, and that's how it all like came. The House of Cards came crashing down.
Let me ask you this: was there anything like what was the point to that? What was the reason the guy even did that?
So it's not. Exactly.
Even why he wanted.
It's not exactly clear because it's like some people were saying, "Oh, he was a pederast" or something like that. But I think it was weirdly enough he had the same like desire as Drew Barrymore. He wanted to go back and be cool, like he wanted to like have that high school experience, and it was like, and that was the best way to do it, like because everybody treated him like a celebrity, and he really did get it because I mean they thought he was like royalty, like he was kin to Steven Spielberg. With
Never Been Kissed, like I said, did love it. Again, take away all the kind of creepy, weird stuff. I mean, it was still just, it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
And then she still gets her kiss. And I mean, that's kind of the model. Like I said, Drew Barrymore really kind of makes that.
Yeah.
I think next thing we do, 10 Things I Hate About You, might have more depth. I like that a lot more than both those movies.
I think it was just, that was the problem with Never Been Kissed was like compared to even like She's All That or like all these other movies, especially American Pie and then those. Or Cruel Intentions, like it didn't have that. Like you need a little bit of that edge, that bite, and it didn't have it. And that's what '99 and those '90s movies were kind of like. Hey, enough of this, sugary sweet '80s stuff. We gotta, make it a little bit more like, ooh, like push the envelope.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again on the next Back in '99. Later.